Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0, and it was a demolition job on Nottingham Forest by Arsenal on Saturday afternoon in the Premier League. And there were standout performances from 5 or 6 players, and we're going to discuss all of those over the next 10 or 15 minutes. We're also going to give some special praise to Andrea Berta. What a squad Arsenal now have, and we have injuries as well. Martin Ødegaard went off again today with that shoulder injury, and that for me was a turning point in the game. We'll talk about that as well. Make sure you drop a like on this video if you haven't done so already. Make sure you're subscribing to the Footy Social Club. We'll talk about Nottingham Forest as well during this video. It was a free hit day for them. Ange Postecoglou would have learned a little bit, I suppose, in the limited time he's had with the Forest players. Only one training session prior to today's game, and it really showed that wasn't Ange ball, that wasn't the attacking football that the Australian head coach likes to play. And he's already fired warning shots at some of the former stars under Nuno Espirito Santo. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. If we bring up the stats and look on screen here, 54% possession to Arsenal, 16 shots to Forest's 5. 5 of those shots for Arsenal on target, leading to the 3 goals. 8 corners, forever dangerous on corners and set pieces. Nearly 500 passes, 88% accuracy on those as well. Arsenal had complete domination over Nottingham Forest, who have an awful record as it stands at the Emirates. And Ange Postecoglou himself has an awful record. Prior to this game, 3 defeats and 1 draw. Make that 4 defeats and a draw now for him. And Arsenal just oozed class and control throughout. From early on in the game, they looked set to take the game to Nottingham Forest, camped themselves well inside the Nottingham Forest half. Martin Zubimendi pulling the strings. Noddy Madueke was ripping Morata apart down the Arsenal's right-hand side. Eze up against Neco Williams, coming in into the 10 position, allowing Calafiori to get down the left-hand side. This is something I talked about in the watch-along. This is why I believe Calafiori is playing in this Arsenal team, not just because he's a very good player, but I genuinely believe whilst Eze may be shown on that left-hand side of midfield, he's going to get himself tucked in right behind Victor Gyökeres. And at times, Arsenal are going to play 3 at the back. Timber, obviously Saliba when fit, Mosquera, we're going to talk about him as well, and Gabriel. And, if Calafiori's going forward, then Timber tucks in. And if Timber's going forward, Calafiori tucks in. It works. And I am going to apologise to Noni Madueke. What a performance he put in again in an Arsenal shirt, on top of a very good week for him personally. Internationally, he was very good for England, scored his first goal as well. When Arsenal signed him for 48 million in the summer, I thought it was an absolute waste of money. And I am happy to say, what do I know when it comes to Noni Madueke? And I am so pleased to see the reaction he got from the Arsenal fans at the Emirates, singing his name, standing ovation. He appreciated that as well. And I love that he's gone out there to prove people wrong as well. He looks hungry. You know, he's direct, he's pacey, he's aggressive on the ball. I absolutely love that about Noni Madueke. So Arsenal, as I said, in complete control of the game. And Martin Zubimendi on 32 minutes set the tone for the afternoon. It came from a Noni Madueke corner. Obviously, he's in for the injured Bukayo Saka, who's now back in training. And Forest cleared, but only managed to clear to the edge of their own box. And out the air, it fell. And Martin Zubimendi watched it the whole way. Composes himself, and on the volley, right foot curling past Matt Sells in the Forest goal, who had absolutely no chance. Forest fans and other football fans will say, yeah, look, it takes a little deflection on the way. Sells could have done better. Do me a favour. That strike was pure quality from Martin Zubimendi, and he was instrumental in everything Arsenal did on Saturday lunchtime in the Premier League. He was everywhere. And this is the performance I want to see from Martin Zubimendi. Not talking about the goals, the performance I want to see from him against the likes of Manchester United, against the likes of Liverpool. He was phenomenal for Arsenal. I'll bring his stats up on screen here. Played all of the 90 minutes, 2 goals, an 8.6 rating, 3 shots, 1 key pass. He was instrumental in everything Arsenal did. This is what I've said he will do for Arsenal if players around him are there to receive the ball. He can dictate the play. He literally can set the tone for Arsenal week in, week out. We've had an unbelievable summer, courtesy of, the fact that the Cronkies have backed Berta and Arteta in this window. The signings, the squad depth. We've got players injured, and the bench yesterday, so deep. Wanyeri, Martinelli, Trossard, Ben White, Kepa, Max Dowman, Lewis Skelly. So strong. Don't forget, we've got, no Saka, no Saliba. Arsenal's bench, no Kai Havertz. This is the moment now. Arsenal have got to believe in themselves and go and win a major trophy, because this is the best squad that Mikel Arteta has ever had at his disposal. And if he does not win something with this team, then he's never going to. But as I said, Martin Zubimendi with an audacious right-footed volley out of the air, watched it all the way, bending, swerving, sells no chance. Arsenal lead and go into the break at half-time 1-0. In the first half, the one damaging bit of news for Arsenal fans was the fact that Martin Ødegaard landed on that shoulder again, went into a tackle with Morgan Gibbs-White, who's not at fault in any way, shape or form, and landed heavily on his right shoulder. He tried to continue, but was taken off. Ethan Wanyeri coming off the bench and had a really good game for me during the course of the remainder of the second half and whatever else. And for me, this is another changing point in the game. Martin Ødegaard, for me, I think Arsenal have moved on from him. I get it when people say he works hard, he runs and everything else, but we don't need that from Martin Ødegaard. We need someone who's going to pick passes. We need someone who's going to be, direct, who's skillful, who has an eye for the pass in the final third. He doesn't have that for me. He slows Arsenal down, and Arsenal are far better with Ethan Wanyeri in Martin Ødegaard's position. Time is up for me. I'm not going to go on about him on the Norwegian. There's other things to talk about in this podcast, but time is certainly up for me when it comes to Martin Ødegaard. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the Norwegian. So Arsenal go into halftime 1-0, and I'm thinking to myself during the live watch along, talking with those watching as well, what's Arteta's press conference here? Because we get criticised for being overly defensive, overly cautious. And I felt that, Forest had a half chance in the first half, Gibbs-White with a shot. And I felt it's a tricky position here. Do they go again, or do they sit back and maybe nick another one late on and it becomes a nervy second half? But Arteta got his team talk right at half time. Arsenal came out fast, and minutes into the second half, Eze gets down the left-hand side, and he's so different to Noni Madueke. Madueke's quick and fast and pacey and direct and gets wide. Eze glides, he's skillful, he's got a trick. And he glides past Nico Williams at right back, who had an awful debut, let's be honest, in from Juventus. He glides past him, cuts it back to Victor Gyökeres, who cannot miss from 5 yards. And that was the perfect goal for Victor Gyökeres. Fox in the box. And people were talking in the chat saying at the time during the watch along that, Victor Gyökeres doing nothing again. And sure, he had a quiet first half. But this was Eze's first game. This was Gyökeres' first full game together where they started. Eze came on late on at Anfield, but this is, his home debut. And the link-up play between those two is going to be crucial in what Victor Gyökeres does for Arsenal this season. Unbelievable from Eze, who I thought, once again, looked everything, Looks so good in an Arsenal shirt, so confident, just looks at home, you know, and himself, he got a 7.3 rating, played 79 minutes before being taken off, came off for Trossard, 1 assist, as I said, 2 shots himself, had those shots in the first half as well. I like that. I want to see that. We need goals throughout the team, and he is exactly what we need on that left-hand side. 24 passes, 1 key pass, 41 touches as well. Draws fouls. Arsenal love set plays. He was brilliant. Got that man, Victor Gyökeres, on the score sheet, who I thought didn't have a bad game. Works hard for Arsenal, got his goal, 4 shots himself, 1 on target, 10 passes, involved in the final third is what I'd say for Victor Gyökeres, and it's a confidence builder. I still don't think that he is fully fit yet, if I'm being brutally honest. But with the likes of Noni Madueke down the right, Bukayo Saka when he comes back, the likes of Trossard, Martinelli, Eze, Ethan Nwaneri, there are so many creative options there to get this man goals. Arsenal just have to make sure that they find a way to play to his strengths. And Eze showed that way on Saturday afternoon against Nottingham Forest. As I said, Eze came off and was replaced by Leandro Trossard, who could have moved to Besiktas over the course of the summer windows, rejected that opportunity, and he curled in a delightful left-footed cross, bending away from Matt Sells, and there was Martin Zubimendi at the back post to score a header. He's only scored 2 headers in his entire career. In fact, 17% of his goals in his career came in yesterday's match against Nottingham Forest. Zubimendi at the back post, little header, top corner, no chance for Sells, and it was game, set, and match for the Gunners. I think it's worth mentioning as well that Arsenal at the back looked exceptionally good. You know, and if we can get the front, you know, the front of this team motoring, if we can get the fluidity in the midfield, then Arsenal are going to be right in this title race. Christian Mosquera in next to Gabriel. Honestly, I am so impressed by him. So impressed. He was brilliant at Anfield. You know, 90-odd appearances for La Liga. He's 20, 21 years old. He did not put a foot wrong yesterday. And I'm telling you, in Mosquera and Hincapié, along with Saliba and Gabriel, Arsenal have the best 4 centre-backs in the Premier League as a combined partnership. Mosquera is literally Saliba 2.0. Unbelievable performance from him. I am not sweating the fact that Saliba is out and he's back in training. He nearly made yesterday's match. But having these guys as options is phenomenal for Arsenal. 4 clearances, 93 touches. He's winning his aerial duels. His duels on the ground as well. He is taken to the Premier League like duck to water. Arsenal have to get this right in this Premier League season. They have to. They must fancy their chances. If we can beat the likes of Forests and Fulhams and Brightons where we normally slip up, with this squad depth that we didn't have last season that cost Arsenal last season, then they have a phenomenal chance. They have to believe. Arteta has to find a way to be more positive in some of those games against the likes of Liverpool. But it is game on when it comes to Arsenal this season. They really were very, very good. Really were very, very good. Special praise as well. As I said, I apologise for calling out Noni Madueke, saying he's not good enough for Arsenal. Again, brilliant. No goals or assists, but involved in everything. And I love with the fact that when you've got Madueke playing, who is providing real competition now for Bukayo Saka, he hugs that right byline. He gave Morata problems all day. He was excellent. Drew fouls as well. 5 key passes. He was instrumental in everything Arsenal did. And as I said, absolutely delighted for him that he got a standing ovation from the Emirates crowd when he was taken off on the 78th minute. As I said, for Ange and for Nottingham Forest fans, it was a free hit for Forest. You know, and Forest have got to look at trying to find ways to bring in some of these players that were signed. Kalimuendo, Bakwa, I think are going to be very good under this Ange system. Igor Jesus as well up top. Zinchenko, the inverted wing back that Ange likes to play. They've got some really good players. Really, really good players. Morgan Gibbs-White had a quiet day. James McAtee came on as well. And it felt like game one of the season for Forest yesterday. So many new faces, new manager, not really sure yet of what they need to be doing. And obviously, Ange was getting pelters from the Arsenal fans. You're getting sacked in the morning and whatever else. But he's got a very, very good squad at his disposal. And I'm excited to see what he does with it. Forest fans, I'd love to know what you think as well. Yesterday, from your perspective, there's not much you can really learn. I'm sure Ange learnt something, but he's a winner. He wants to win. I'd be worried about Savona at right back. I'd be worried about Morata. Zinchenko surely plays for you. Obviously, could not play against his parent club yesterday. Obviously, Murillo went off with a dead leg. That didn't help. You've got Douglas Luiz to come into this team as well. So Forest, for me, will be absolutely fine. They've got some tricky games coming up away from home, but they've got winnable points as well. And I'm sure Ange will be working really, really hard to get this Forest team motoring. Arsenal sit top of the league. Obviously, Burnley and Liverpool still to play. But it looks very, very good for this Arsenal side at the moment. And Berta, as I mentioned at the very top of the show, deserves immense credit for building this squad. Immense credit. Edu was back at Arsenal yesterday, sitting up in one of the directors' boxes, watching on now as he is the head of football for Marinakis' group, the Olympiacos and Forest and alike and whatever else. And Berta has outschooled him. The signings this summer have been immense, and that is why Arsenal are able to put in performances like this. Guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you drop a like on this video. Get yourselves in the comments of whether you're an Arsenal fan, a Forest fan, or just a football fan. Let me know your opinion of yesterday's performance. I'm not getting carried away. People will say, Forest, they've new manager, they haven't had any time together straight off the back of an international break. Absolutely. And that's why I clarified with the likes of Martin Zubimendi. I want to see those performances from Zubimendi in the big, big games. Excellent performance, though. 3-0 to the Gunners. They go on and they're back up against Athletic Club in the Champions League this week. A game we'll be covering here as a watch along on the Footy Social Club. As I said, guys, drop a like. Make sure you're subscribing. Welcome to all of those that have subscribed in the last few days as well. And get yourselves in the comments. I'll see you on the next one.